The child's huge violet eyes glistened. "Please, brave human. My people are dying, will you fight for us?" she pleaded. Captain Jack smiled, adjusted his tie, and thought, well, guess it's time to start the paperwork for someone else's apocalypse. The alien girl couldn't have been more than 12, by human standards. Skin like opal, hair the color of deep ocean light, and eyes so wide they seemed designed to weaponize pity. She stood in the center of Captain Jack Ransom's diplomatic shuttle, clutching a frayed satchel and staring as though the fate of the stars depended on his next breath. "Please, brave human. My people are dying, will you fight for us?" Jack adjusted his tie, more out of habit than need. The request wasn't unusual. The delivery, however, on his private shuttle in high orbit, was. "Well," Jack said, glancing toward his pilot, "that's one way to skip the appointment book." The girl stepped forward. "They'll all be gone soon. The Skarn are burning everything. You're the only ones who can stop them." Her voice cracked, but there was a stubborn weight beneath it. Not mere desperation, conviction. Jack took a slow sip from the coffee mug in his hand. "Lukewarm. Shame. And how exactly did you get on my ship, kid?" She hesitated, asked. He looked toward his pilot again. The man shrugged. "She asked, sir." Jack exhaled through his nose. Somewhere in the galaxy, humanity's security clearance protocols were being laughed at by a 12-year-old alien. "All right," he said, setting the mug down. "What's your name?" "Ilara." "Ilara," Jack repeated, rolling the syllables like he was checking for cracks. "Here's the thing. My bosses send me out to negotiate peace, sign treaties, maybe shake hands. They don't usually put 'fight for alien civilizations' in my job description." Her eyes didn't blink. "Then change your job." A slow grin crept across Jack's face. Not the amused kind, more like a predator realizing dinner just volunteered. "I like you." The descent to Tyrava. Ilara's planet came into view an hour later, lush green swaths broken by gleaming rivers, wrapped in cloud bands that caught the light like silver wire. On approach, Jack noticed thin columns of smoke rising far from the capital. No warships in orbit. No defensive satellites. Either the Taravans were confident, or idiots. Landing clearance came with the kind of pomp only dying civilizations could still afford. As the shuttle set down on a polished marble platform, a line of robed officials awaited them, their postures dripping ceremony. The tallest stepped forward. His skin shimmered like bronze dust, and his voice had the tone of someone greeting an uninvited guest. "I am High Speaker Rovan. Welcome to Tyrava, human envoy." Jack gave him the smile that had ended 3 border disputes and started 2 profitable wars. "Appreciate the warm welcome, High Speaker. Beautiful planet you've got here. Shame about the fires." Rovan's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "We are managing." "Sure," Jack said lightly, "just like that wall's managing without mortar." He gestured toward a cracked section of the capital's outer fortifications. The nearest guard shifted uncomfortably. Ilara stepped beside Jack. "He's here to help." Rovan's eyes softened toward her, then cooled when they returned to Jack. "We will determine what role, if any, your people will play." Jack's grin didn't fade. "Of course. But first, maps. Enemy troop positions, supply lines, your own defense grids. You know, so I can politely suggest improvements." Rovan hesitated, clearly unused to guests making demands. "We will discuss it." The palace tour. They walked through arched corridors lined with bioluminescent vines, past fountains that shimmered under the glow. Jack admired the artistry while mentally noting every guard's line of sight, weapon type, and armor thickness. "This is the Hall of Guardians," Rovan announced as they entered a wide chamber filled with towering statues. "Impressive," Jack said. "Which ones are actual soldiers and which are just for show?" The high speaker stiffened. They are all soldiers. Thought so. Jack's eyes flicked over ceremonial spears. Good for parades. Worthless in a firefight. They paused at a long dining hall where officials gathered around platters of bright green paste. Rovan gestured toward a bowl. Nutrient meal. You may partake. Jack eyed it like it might crawl off the table. Tempting, but I packed lunch. He pulled a granola bar from his jacket and unwrapped it, the crinkle echoing in the grand hall. A few officials whispered in disapproval. Smoke on the horizon. From the palace balcony, the distant plumes were clearer, black scars on the green. That's Skarn territory now, Rovan admitted reluctantly. Our forces have encountered difficulties. Jack leaned on the rail. Difficulties like losing? Our warriors fight with honor. Jack turned, his tone still mild but his words sharp. Honor's great for funerals. I prefer results. Ilara watched the exchange, her expression caught between hope and unease. Show me your last 3 battle reports, Jack said. That information is necessary, Jack interrupted smoothly, if you want me to help. Rovan's jaw worked. Finally, he signaled to an aide. Bring them. First glimpse of the enemy. By evening, Jack stood on a ridge outside the capital, battle reports loaded into his wrist display. Below, a skirmish unfolded. Tyravan troops in gleaming armor charged in tight, ceremonial formations. Skarn raiders, lean, scaled, vicious, tore through them with crude but devastating energy weapons. The Teravans blew horns before attacking. The Skarn responded with grenades. Beside Jack, a palace guard murmured, "They fight without honor." "They fight to win," Jack replied, biting into another granola bar. Within 15 minutes, the Teravans were retreating. Fires consumed what was left of the settlement. Jack tapped his comm, "Send 6 drones. Quiet run. I want that Skarn camp gone before their supper." Demonstration. Minutes later, silver specks streaked silently overhead. The drones vanished into the valley, then the Skarn camp simply ceased to exist. No fire, no theatrics, just absence, replaced by smoking craters. Ilara's mouth fell open. "You barely moved." Jack brushed crumbs from his jacket. No need to waste energy when gravity does most of the work. When they returned to the palace, Rovan tried to frame the destruction as luck. Perhaps the Skarn were careless. Jack gave him a pleasant smile that didn't reach his eyes. Or perhaps we're just better. Quiet conversations. Late that night, Jack stood alone in a guest chamber, looking out over the capital's glowing streets. He activated a secure channel on his comm. "Yeah," he said quietly, "get the kit ready. And tell Washington to start the clock." He cut the line and sipped the now cold coffee on the windowsill. Behind him, Ilara appeared in the doorway. "You're really going to help us?" Jack turned, wearing that same easy grin. "Oh, Ilara, I'll help. You'll see." She didn't notice the way his eyes flicked back toward the horizon, where new smoke was rising, thicker this time, closer. The alien council chamber was a crescent of polished stone and glass, designed to impress. From the elevated seats, officials looked down at Jack as though gravity alone would enforce authority. High Speaker Rovan's voice carried that same faint disdain from the landing pad. "Human envoy, your demonstration against the Skarn was unexpected." Jack's smile was easy. Unexpected results are how you win wars. Several advisors exchanged glances. The older ones looked unsettled, the younger ones seemed intrigued. One leaned toward Rovan. "If they can strike like that again." "If," Jack interrupted smoothly, "I can. The question is whether you want me to." Ilara sat in the back, knees tucked to her chest, eyes darting between faces. She'd never seen her leaders unsure before. Rovan recovered his tone. Our customs demand strategy rooted in honor. Direct slaughter is inelegant. Jack didn't flinch. Elegance is for art galleries. Wars are for ending threats before breakfast. A few council members hid smiles. Collecting information. Jack spent the next day inspecting defenses, which in practice meant walking through the capital asking disarmingly casual questions. In the armory, he turned a ceremonial sword over in his hands. Beautiful craftsmanship. Tell me, how often are these actually used? Only for parades, the quartermaster admitted. Thought so. He set it back gently, then asked for a full inventory of working weapons, phrased as a compliment to their organization. In the mess hall, he praised the cooks for their efficiency, then learned exactly how many supply caravans fed the front lines. On the wall, speaking to guards, he feigned interest in their armor polish formula. Within minutes, he knew how long it took them to mobilize and where their patrol gaps lay. Jack never wrote anything down. He didn't need to. The skirmish. 2 days later, scouts reported a Skan advance toward a small farming district. Rovan gathered his generals for a traditional defense plan. Slow march, trumpet signals, frontal engagement. Jack listened, sipping coffee from a travel mug. Do that and you'll lose half your men before they even see the enemy. The general bristled. Our methods are proven. Proven failures, Jack said lightly. Let me show you something different. He deployed a dozen human recon drones, each the size of a hawk, into the treeline. On his wrist display, the Skan formation appeared, clear as daylight. See this gap? He said, pointing. That's where you hit them. Not head-on, there. And you don't announce it with a trumpet. You do it while they're still arguing about lunch. The aliens watched as Jack relayed coordinates to a small squad. Within minutes, precision fire cut the Skan line in two. The survivors broke and ran. The entire fight lasted 4 minutes. Reactions. That was surgical, murmured an advisor afterward. Jack shrugged. When you know where to cut, you don't need to swing harder. You just end it. Rovan's tone was flat. Your tactics lack ceremony. Jack met his gaze. And yet, you're still alive. Ilara's admiration was clear, but there was a flicker of unease. She hadn't missed the way Jack's eyes lingered on the farmland after the battle, assessing more than just the enemy's retreat. Private conversation. That night, Rovan visited Jack in his quarters. Some on the council believe your methods are dangerous. Jack leaned back in his chair. Dangerous to the Skarn? Absolutely. Perhaps also to us. Jack's smile was faint but sharpened at the edges. I'm not here to take your planet, High Speaker. If I wanted it, I'd already have it. The room went quiet. Rovan studied him for a long moment, then left without another word. Subtle moves. The next morning, Jack requested complete star charts of the sector to anticipate Skan movement. He received them by midday. By evening, he'd marked every asteroid field, refueling station, and unclaimed moon within 3 jumps of Tyrava. He also reviewed the palace communication system, discreetly noting its blind spots. His crew aboard the shuttle began installing relay upgrades that doubled as encrypted human channels. At dinner, he charmed mid-ranking officials with Earth humor, teaching them the phrase, "throw in the towel," over roasted root vegetables. They laughed, not realizing the entire exchange had been a test to see who repeated his words to the High Speaker. Skan counterplay. 3 days later, the Skarn made their boldest push yet, 2 assault craft breaching low orbit over the capital. Sirens wailed, citizens scrambled, and anti-air emplacements fired wildly. Jack didn't raise his voice. Target engines only, he told his ship via comm 2 railgun bursts later. Both craft dropped harmlessly into the shallows outside the city. The Skan survivors stumbled onto shore, stunned. Jack ordered the palace guards to capture them alive. Rovan was aghast. Why not kill them? Jack smiled thinly. Dead men tell no stories. Prisoners leak fear. By morning, rumors of the humans' precision strikes had reached Skarn commanders. Intercepted transmissions revealed hesitation among their forward units. Ilara's question. That evening, Ilara found Jack on the palace balcony, watching stars blink between cloud breaks. "You don't fight like them," she said quietly. Jack's eyes stayed on the horizon. "No. We fight to finish things. Quickly. Cleanly. Do you enjoy it?" His smile was small. "I enjoy winning." She hesitated. "And after the Skarn?" "After?" He finally looked at her. "We'll talk about that when it's over." Under the surface. Jack met with his crew via secure link later that night. "Status?" he asked. "Relay network operational. Resource mapping at 60%. Locals still think we're here purely for defense." "Good," Jack said. "Let's keep it that way. Skarn are a gift. Perfect cover." One of his officers chuckled darkly. "They'll thank us for taking their world." Jack didn't laugh. "They won't even realize it's gone." The hint of the trap. At dawn, Jack presented Rovan with a detailed defense plan for the next Skarn push. On the surface, it was airtight: fast strikes, layered fallback positions, targeted supply runs. Hidden in the routing was something else entirely: pathways that could be repurposed for rapid human troop deployment across Tyrava if needed. Rovan signed without noticing. As Jack left the council chamber, Ilara's gaze followed him. She didn't know why, but she felt as if she'd just watched someone move a piece on a game board she couldn't yet see. The Skarn offensive began before dawn, 2 full assault waves pushing across 3 fronts. Sirens cut through the capital like knives. Rovan's command chamber erupted in shouts, aides scrambling over half-drawn battle maps. Jack strolled in wearing a pressed jacket and carrying fresh coffee. "You're late," Rovan snapped. Jack sipped. "I'm right on time." "You're just losing faster than usual." A general jabbed a finger at the holomap. "They've breached the outer district." "Good," Jack said. "Let them." The room went silent. Controlled chaos. Jack's orders moved faster than alien protocol could follow. Drone teams shifted to flank positions. Artillery pods dropped from low orbit into narrow streets the Skarn would funnel through. To the council's shock, Jack instructed the eastern gate to open. The Skarn surged inside, whooping through alien avenues, straight into overlapping kill zones. "Close the gate," Jack said. Railgun fire shredded the trapped units. From the balcony above the square, Jack leaned on the railing. "Sometimes," he told a stunned aide, "you have to give the fox the henhouse, then burn the henhouse." The Skarn collapse. The second wave tried to bypass the city entirely, moving toward farmland to the south. Jack rerouted orbital cannons to cut off their retreat path before they even reached their target. The feed from his wrist display showed Skarn formations breaking apart under invisible fire. No grand explosions, just sudden absence, like pieces erased from a board. Within 2 hours, the largest coordinated Skarn push in years had collapsed. Rovan approached slowly. "Your methods are ruthless." Jack met his gaze. "They're effective. You can have one or the other. Pick." Fear in the ranks. Word spread fast. Skarn deserters abandoned forward posts, whispering about humans who fought without warning or mercy. In intercepted transmissions, Skarn officers argued about whether to keep pushing or retreat entirely. Jack listened to one recording with mild interest, then deleted it. If they're arguing, they're not planning. In the palace halls, though, a different fear brewed. Advisors spoke in low tones about the human's control over communications, his access to star charts, his surgical dismantling of the enemy. Rovan called a private meeting that night without Jack. Several members suggested reducing human involvement before they became dependent. None offered a clear way to push him out. The conversation with Ilara. Ilara found Jack in the war room, alone, studying maps. "They're afraid of you," she said. "They should be," Jack replied without looking up. Her voice was small. "I asked you to help us, not take over." Jack finally met her eyes. "And I am helping. But there's no point saving a house if you leave the door open." "It's our door." Jack smiled faintly. "Not anymore." The trap. 3 days later, Jack received intelligence. Skarn leadership moving to reinforce their northern base. He presented it to the council as a rare opportunity. Strike now, end the war. The plan required pulling the majority of Tyrava's remaining forces north, leaving the capital lightly defended. The council hesitated, but Jack's calm, relentless logic chipped away at resistance. "They'll never commit this many resources again," he said. "We hit them now, we end it." By nightfall, troop movements began. The real objective. While Tyravan forces marched, Jack's crew deployed equipment across key points in the capital. Relay hubs, atmospheric sensors, and modular defense turrets disguised as temporary measures. Every position was placed to defend not just from the Skarn, but to lock down the city itself. His first officer reported in over the secure line. "Stage 2 complete. Locals think it's all for them." Jack's voice was calm. "By the time they realize otherwise, they'll be too invested to stop us." The Northern Strike. The battle was brutal but short. Using human targeting algorithms, the Taravan's artillery, usually wildly inaccurate, became precise enough to gut Skarn defenses in minutes. Drones cut off retreat paths, collapsing the base in on itself. When the dust cleared, the Skarn chain of command in the region was gone. Cheers erupted among Tyravan soldiers. But Jack didn't celebrate. He was already sending encrypted orders back to his ship. Aftermath. The council reconvened in the capital, jubilant. Rovan declared the northern victory, a testament to Tyravan resilience. Jack let him have the speech. Public credit kept suspicion at bay. When the room emptied, Jack remained. Rovan lingered, eyes narrowing. "You've been moving more than troops. I've heard whispers." Jack's tone stayed pleasant. "Whispers are for people who can't read maps. You think you can simply control us?" Jack stood, taking a slow step forward. "High Speaker, I don't think. I plan. And plans tend to go my way." Ilara overhears. Later that night, Ilara crept toward the council library, meaning to return a borrowed data slate. Voices carried from a nearby comm room, Jack and a human officer. "Resource integration complete," the officer reported. "We can sustain operations here indefinitely." "Good," Jack replied. "Once the treaty's signed, we'll have a permanent forward base." The Skarn distraction was worth every credit. Ilara's pulse quickened. She slipped away before they emerged, the weight of the words crushing her chest. The shift in atmosphere. By morning, subtle changes had taken root. Human-built defense turrets dotted the palace perimeter. The communications hub now routed through Jack's shuttle. Supply depots were guarded by mixed teams, human soldiers among Taravans. To the public, it looked like protection. To anyone paying attention, it was control. Confrontation. Ilara found Jack on the same balcony where they'd first talked. The city spread beneath them, dotted now with unfamiliar silhouettes of human tech. "You were never here just to save us," she said. Jack didn't deny it. Saving you was part of it. But a safe planet is a useful planet. You're turning Tyrava into a human base. Jack's voice was gentle. Into something that can survive. The galaxy isn't kind, Ilara. You adapt, or you disappear. Her jaw tightened. And if we don't want to adapt? Jack's smile was faint, almost sad. Then you'll disappear. Final beat. As night fell, Jack stood in the war room, finalizing deployment maps. His crew reported the Skarn fleet retreating beyond the sector. One of his officers asked, "So, mission accomplished?" Jack shook his head slightly. "Not yet. First, we make sure they can't ever ask us to leave." From the balcony above, unseen, Ilara listened, eyes burning, mind racing. The War Council chamber aboard Resolute Dawn thrummed with tension. Outside its armored viewport, the alien fleet hovered like a wall of serrated teeth, close enough that their reactor heat shimmered against the void. Inside, the room's centerpiece was a circular table made of black alloy, its surface etched with faint star maps that updated in real time. Captain Jonathan Hale sat at the table's head, back straight, eyes calm. To the untrained observer, he looked almost too relaxed, a polite smile playing on his lips, hands folded loosely as if discussing weather reports, not impending annihilation. Across from him, Chancellor Threx of the Varelian Combine was less composed. His mandibles clicked in agitation, the segmented plates along his spine rattling with every sharp breath. "Human," he hissed, "you are outnumbered 3-1. Our weapons outrange yours. If you refuse our terms, you invite extinction for your species." Hale's smile widened slightly. "Extinction? That's quite a word to toss around before coffee." He gestured at the empty cup in front of him. "Do you mind if I get a refill before we start talking about the death of civilizations?" Threx's mandibles twitched in frustration. "You mock this council." "No," Hale interrupted softly. "I'm giving you a chance to realize you've made a mistake before things get irreversible." The silence that followed was heavy. Even the alien advisors, representatives from 4 other species, shifted uncomfortably. Hale was still smiling, but there was something in his tone that made the room feel colder. At the far side of the table, Lieutenant Ramirez leaned closer to whisper to him. "Sir, they're not budging. Scans show they've moved missile platforms into strike position." Hale nodded. "Good. That'll save us time." Threx slammed a clawed fist on the table, the alloy groaning under the force. "You're bluffing. You wouldn't risk total war over an insignificant Outer Rim colony." Hale tilted his head. "You think this is about the colony?" He let the words hang there just long enough for the Chancellor to frown. "The thing about humans," he continued, voice still low and almost friendly, "is that when we commit to something, we don't measure the cost. We measure the result. And in this case, the result will be you, your fleet, and the Combine Central Command all gone before your backup fleet even clears orbit." "You can't." "Try me," Hale said. The smile was gone now. His gaze was steady, and something in it made Threx lean back ever so slightly. From the shadows of the chamber, a small voice broke the tension. "Please, stop fighting." Every head turned. The alien child, the same one who had first begged Hale for help, stood just inside the doorway, her oversized ceremonial robes trailing along the floor. Her large violet eyes were fixed on Hale. "If you fight now, too many will die." Hale softened. "Kid, sometimes peace needs teeth." The girl stepped forward, voice trembling but clear. "They took my people to make us slaves. You promised to save them, not burn the galaxy." Hale stood slowly, his chair sliding back without a sound. He looked between the girl and Threx. "And that's exactly what I'm doing. You just haven't realized the method yet." He tapped a control on the table. The star map shifted, no longer showing the current system, but the Combine's core worlds. Small, blinking red dots appeared one by one, then dozens, then hundreds. Threx's mandibles froze mid-click. "What are those?" "Packages," Hale said. "Tiny ones. Launched weeks ago. Self-replicating probes. Nothing flashy, just patient. They've been sitting in your shipping lanes, your asteroid belts, your fuel depots. Waiting." One of the alien advisors leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Waiting for what? Hale smiled again, but it was the kind of smile predators wear when the prey finally understands. A command code. Threx surged to his feet. This is an act of war? Oh, Threx, Hale interrupted. You started the war the moment you took children from their homes and thought humanity would play diplomat forever. The Chancellor's breathing turned ragged. You wouldn't dare. Look at me, Hale said quietly. Do I look like a man who's bluffing? No one spoke. The hum of the ship systems was suddenly deafening. Even the alien child seemed frozen, caught between fear and awe. Then Hale leaned forward, both palms on the table. Here's the deal. Release every captive. Dismantle your slave network. Pull your forces back from contested space. Do it within 24 hours, and I'll delete the command codes. Fail. He glanced at the glowing dots on the map. And you'll learn what humans mean when we say scorched earth. One of the other alien leaders, a tall, bird-like crane, shifted uncomfortably. And if we agree, will humanity leave us in peace? Hale's smile softened into something almost reassuring. We're a peaceful bunch when left alone. You leave us be, we leave you be. Simple as that. Threx's claws scraped the tabletop. You've put the fate of billions on a knife's edge. Hale's tone turned to ice. No, you did. I'm just the one holding the knife. The alien child stepped closer to him. And if they agree, my people go free? You have my word, Hale said, kneeling to meet her gaze. Every last one. She nodded, then looked at Threx with a quiet defiance only the young can muster. You should listen to him. For a long moment, no one moved. The council chamber felt suspended in time, balanced between survival and ruin. Finally, Threx exhaled a slow, rattling breath. I will take this to my command. Hale straightened. Do that. But remember, 24 hours. After that, I can't promise anything except fireworks. As the aliens filed out, Ramirez leaned close again. Sir, what if they call the bluff? Hale's eyes stayed on the departing figures. Then, Lieutenant, the galaxy gets a lesson it'll never forget. And for the first time since the meeting began, his smile disappeared entirely.